What is up, all of my horror fanatics out there? Welcome back to Late Night Frights. I'm the Late Night Frights horror leader, DJ Sloan or Jordan, back here to do another video for you. And as always, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. Before I begin this video, I really want to apologize to everyone for the lack of videos over the past few weeks. We decided to take a week off, and then when we decided to come back, we had realized that Wes Craven had passed away, and we were very saddened by the news. And we decided to take the week off, although I did make a tribute to Wes Craven because he was one of my personal favorite horror directors of all time, and we wanted to do that in memory of the director, himself, and just such a sad loss for everybody. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the video. But we're back here stronger than ever, and we're here to do another theme for you. The theme that we originally had planned this week, we're not going to be doing it. We blew it off to do this new theme that we thought about. We decided to do our top 5 favorite Wes Craven films, obviously in dedication to Wes Craven being a great horror director, just a director in general and a great person, very nice, very friendly, and unlike any directors that we've ever seen or anybody would ever see in the horror movie industry or movie industry in itself. He was just a fantastic person and a fantastic director. So yeah, I'm going to go from least to greatest, my top 5 favorite Wes Craven films of all time. Okay, coming in at number 5 is a 1977 film, I believe the second film that he ever directed, and that is The Hills Have Eyes. So, I was never a huge fan of the original film, which is surprising because usually the original films are the best films out of the entire franchise, sequels, remakes included. As I've watched this more and more as I've gotten older, I've really enjoyed it, and it's really original for its time. I love the story with the small family trying to travel, and when they travel, they try to take a detour to see the desert, which really there's nothing to see out there, or so they think. They're going to see this big, beautiful land, and they actually find cannibalistic, inbred, hillbilly-type people who has been living in the hills their entire life. So I love that. I love how creepy it is. It's got a very eerie feel to it. And they tried to make, in the remake, which I love the remake, I actually prefer the remake over the original, They made them look very human. I don't know the exact word. I guess you would say they had a human-like look to them, whereas in the remake they were very deformed and they just did not look too great. I mean, they looked good for what they were trying to portray in the remake as opposed to the original. But as I've watched it more, I've really started to notice things each time that I've watched it that I really love. There are a few things that I'm just like, I don't agree with. The person who plays the father of the baby in the film, he goes after his baby. Not a fan of the film, but everything else, the antagonists, the cannibalistic people living in the hills, they're great. I love the movie. Used to not like it, like I said, and then it started to grow on me each time I've watched it. It still comes in at number 5 as my least favorite, but it is in my top 5 list. But yeah, The Hills Have Eyes, it's a definite classic. So much originality within the film. Definitely watch it if you have not seen The Hills Have Eyes. Okay, coming in at number 4, which might be surprising to some viewers and might think that this would be higher up on my list, being towards my top favorites. It comes in at number 4, so I still really love this movie. It's a 1996 film, and it is one of the first neo-slashers. This is the slasher that really brought back the genre. But in a way, it kick-started the genre once again, or the subgenre of slasher films, and it also kind of ended it as well, because there's not been too many great slasher films after this point in 1996 with Scream. Yeah, always loved Scream, guys. Always, since I was a kid. It's got a stellar cast: Neve Campbell, Skeet Ulrich. It's got Jamie Kennedy. It's got David Arquette, Courtney Cox. It's got an amazing, stellar cast and a very great story. I mean, leave it up to Wes Craven to make this neo-slasher. It's just such a suspenseful story as well, and it's got a great lead. I think everybody loves Sydney as a character. She's a very strong character who reminds me of another female protagonist, another Scream queen that I will be talking about later on in this list. But I love the fact that it flips it to where they blame it on the movies. It's all blamed on the movies. And as the sequels kind of progress, they kind of take that away a little bit, and that sucks. It really does, because the original Scream was so unique and so original for its time, much like back in 1977, The Hills Have Eyes. You've never seen that type of film before. And there's other films that Wes Craven has done, like The Last House on the Left, that was very brutal, had a big rape scene in it for its time. You know, he created all of these originalities within the horror genre, and we'll talk a little bit about that as I go further into the video. But Scream, stellar cast. I'm about to say crest. I apologize for that. Stellar cast, Scream, amazing film. I love the. It's got great jump scares in it. Most films do not execute jump scares well. I'm not a fan of jump scares due to that specific reason. It's like when we don't have any more story, let's just place this in the script. But Scream is one of the only films that I've seen, other than originals like Halloween, that had the jump scares, you know, that did it right, and Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm talking about newer horror films that really just take jump scares and shit all over them. Scream has terrific jump scares within it. Stellar cast, great suspense build up behind a great slasher, and a great director. Wes Craven did this so perfectly, and I love this movie. Some people hate it, some people love it. I'm in the category where I really love Scream. It just had to rank in at number 4 because I have 3 more films that I prefer directed by Wes Craven over Scream. But Scream comes in at number 4. If you haven't seen it and you're a horror fan, you need to do yourself a favor and check this slasher out. It's great, very interesting. You know, it started the what's your favorite scary movie? And that was really cool. It was like a trivial game to where if you answered it correctly, you would live, or you know, you really would not live. But still, it's a trivial game to live and die about horror films. And as being a horror fanatic myself, I'm like, fuck it, I could win that game easily, get through that. I mean, I would win. Everybody here on Late Night Frights is bound to win. There's a few people who might die. Just joking. But Scream, classic. Definitely check it out. And if you haven't seen it, which I'm sure if you're watching the video, you've seen Scream. That is my number 4, 1996 classic, Scream. Okay, coming in at number 3, this is another Wes Craven classic from 1991, and it is The People Under the Stairs. This one is starring Brandon Adams, Wendy Roby, Everett McGill, and Ving Rhames. Great cast, guys. I fucking love this movie. This is definitely one of Wes Craven's more underrated films, but I love the story. You got this young kid named Fool, who is pretty much has no other option but to break into this house with an older character who's played by Ving Rhames to steal what these people have just to be able to get by, just to be able to pay his rent. He's just this little boy. It's actually really sad. He breaks in. This is a house that nobody's ever broke into before. They break in and they realize that this standard-looking couple are actually fucking nutcases. Like, I mean, they are freaks. It's insane what they find in this house. I love it. I love Roach. I love everything about this one. Just the setting is just so... you see the outside world and then you see inside this couple's house, and you start to dig deeper and actually find out who they are and why they do what they do. There's a gimp suit in this. That's all I'm going to say. There is a gimp suit used quite frequently within this film. It's just very fucked up. They keep people under the stairs. They keep people in the basement. And the way that these people have, it's so messed up. I can't go into it. I can't describe it because it takes a mind. It really does to come up with this shit. I'm not saying that I couldn't. I'm not saying I couldn't come up with this. I mean, I write stories. I write the scripts for our fan series that me, Chris, and Jeremy do. So you got to write some pretty fucked up shit. This is just messed up, but I love it. It's great, dirty, gritty, grimy, and it's another Wes Craven classic. And if you look at all of Wes Craven's films, if you really sit down and look at every film he's directed, every film he's been associated with, but mainly what he's written and directed, they're all different. You'll have some directors who will stay in the same fucking boat because they're afraid to swim. And this director did everything different in every film that he ever directed. It was so different. The vibe was clearly different. And that takes a true talented director, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But all